This past weekend, we had Oshaki Foster and Robson Conceicao. The last time these two guys fought, Robson Conceicao became a world champion.
They're saying robbery after robbery.
A lot of people deemed Foster to be a more skillful fighter than Conceicao.
In this second fight, Conceicao did a lot better. Foster was trying to come forward, but he couldn't really find his timing when it came to the counter punches. Conceicao was just letting his hands go, and he was looking really good in there. He looked real comfortable. I don't know where Foster really goes from here now, because now people are saying, there was a robbery in the first fight, robbery in the second fight. We got to get a trilogy.
I don't think Foster would like that.
Floyd Schofield, a lot of hate towards him this past weekend.
Because of the knockdown that he sustained.
The Shakur Stevenson curse is real.
He's a guy who's been calling out the big names. He's ranked number 2 in the WBA, for Gervonta Davis.
The post-fight interview, he was still talking.
I think he should maybe cool it off a little bit. Because if anything, I think Abdullah Mason beats him.
Dang.
Welcome back to another episode of the Last Round Podcast, where we cover everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in between. In today's episode, we'll be going over Oshaki Foster's split decision win over Robson Conceicao, as well as talking about Floyd Schofield's performance and also giving our predictions for the return of Boots Ennis and Jesse Bam Rodriguez. But before we get into the episode, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. Also, the best way to get in contact with us is by joining our Discord. We are trying to build up a community, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. Everything that I mentioned is in the link in the description below. But now diving into the episode, this past weekend we had somewhat of an anticipated rematch, a very controversial first fight for sure, between Oshaki Foster and Robson Conceicao. The last time these two guys fought, Robson Conceicao became a world champion in a very controversial, very razor-thin scorecard. And a lot of people were very upset and very disappointed, calling it a robbery, calling it corruption, this and this and this and that. And I found it so kind of ironic because Robson Conceicao had always been at the bad end of these types of scorecards or decisions, against Oscar Valdez. He beat Oscar Valdez, and they gave Oscar Valdez the victory. Against Navarrete, you could make the argument that Conceicao beat Navarrete that night. So to see him finally win in that manner was a little bit ironic, but it was kind of funny at the end, right?
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, at least if you're going to rob somebody, at least let it be like a Robson Conceicao,
So Robson Conceicao, though, was all like, screw it. Let's run it back. Oshaki Foster, of course, was very upset after the first fight and vowed to make amends and to, showcase a different version of him. And this second fight was no different. It was razor thin again. A lot of close rounds, very highly competitive fight. And at the end of the day, Oshaki Foster took away the victory. And now I see the opposite. I see a lot of people online saying, they just robbed Robson Conceicao. So boxing fans are never happy.
Yeah, it's funny now. It's like they're saying robbery after robbery. So it's kind of funny, but it was a close-ass fight. This fight wasn't like the first fight that they had where I believe Foster clearly won. In this second fight, Conceicao did a lot better, and this was a very big talking point, even from the commentator's perspective, because after the first fight, the CompuBox came out, and Conceicao only landed like 11% of his punches. He landed super low, and in this fight, I believe he landed like 36% of his punches. So clearly, Robson Conceicao did a lot better this fight. They were also saying that Conceicao was struggling with an iron deficiency going into the first fight, and that explained, his mediocre performance. But this was a good fight. I think even Foster didn't fight that great, honestly. And it could have gone either way, though. I'm not super mad about the scorecard.
Yeah, I'm not mad about the scorecard either, because if Robinson Conceicao would have won, I wouldn't have been up in arms going onto Twitter and being like, this is a robbery. I would have been like, yeah, I mean, it's a close fight. It could have gone either way. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't have been mad if it was a draw either. Because it was that close. It wasn't too much action. They were mostly just kind of like boxing. hit, not get hit. There was a couple moments where Oshaki Foster did land one or two right hands that kind of like stumbled Robinson a little bit. But other than that, it wasn't too much action.
Yeah, at the end of the fight, though, what was very noticeable was the fact that Conceicao was just simply outworking Foster, especially that final round. I mean, I was very surprised when I saw Mark Kriegel put up his scorecard, his unofficial scorecard, and he gave that 12th round to Foster. And I was all like, that's dumb. I mean, if you watching that last round, I mean, it was messy. Conceicao was making it messy, you know, a lot of holding, a lot of smothering his punches, but he was outworking Foster. Not many clean punches, but a lot of good work he was putting in there. And I saw him give Conceicao or give Oshaki Foster a lot of trouble in that aspect. He just made it very messy, smothering his punches. And Foster didn't really know how to adapt to it, especially once the fight progressed into the later stages.
Yeah, that was the story of the fight at the beginning. The first 6 rounds, Conceicao started off amazing, and he started off outworking Foster. Foster was trying to come forward, but he couldn't really find his timing when it came to the counter punches. And Conceicao was just letting his hands go, and he was looking really good in there. He looked real comfortable, real confident. And then in the middle half of the fight, I don't know if he got tired or maybe Foster adjusted. He started putting a lot more pressure on Conceicao, and he was able to counter him very effectively. And so that's kind of tied up the scorecards going into the final 2 rounds. Foster was doing good in those final 2 rounds, except the last round, which I believe Robson showed. Once again, you know, he picked up the activity and he was able to outwork him. So I think that's why it was really close.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that one thing that a lot of boxers do. So like Robinson, you know, he has a long history, amateur boxing career, and for whatever reason, you know, when a lot of guys, you know, they're very successful in the amateurs and then they turn pro, they kind of lose some of those amateur qualities and whatnot. I feel like in some essence, Robinson has been able to keep some of those amateur qualities and use it to his advantage. For instance, like the clinching, he is superb at clinching. He uses it to his benefit, whether it's attack mode or defensive mode.
Yeah, he was clinching a lot, especially in the middle half of the fight. Once Foster started getting into his groove, he was smothering, you know, he was holding, and he did start making the fight messy, trying to bring the pace down. That's why I mentioned that. It did seem like Conceicao started getting tired in the later half of the fight because his holding and his clinching game went up a lot.
That's also what a lot of people noted online, especially on Twitter, saying, you know, early on, I think a lot of people were actually edging a little bit. You know, they're saying it was very competitive, but some people were starting to edge it more towards Oshaki Foster, saying that Oshaki Foster will have more chances to capitalize than Robson Conceicao, just mainly strictly off skills. Because a lot of people deemed Foster to be a more skillful fighter than Conceicao. And looking at the fight, I mean, it's Oshaki Foster, man. I wasn't too sold on him until he fought Rocky Hernandez, and that fight catapulted Oshaki Foster to one of my favorite fighters, current fighters at the moment, especially at the 130 division. But Oshaki Foster, he's shown a lot of good qualities in his game, and while Robson Conceicao, he hasn't been in the best form. You know, I mean, he fought Navarrete. I mean, he also comes off fighting tough fights. He's a fighter who's willing to engage with anyone in order to get that title shot. And I mean, that Navarrete fight also gave him a good name, but also he took a lot of heavy damage in that fight. So a lot of people also said, you know, Oshaki Foster is a more skillful fighter, even though Robson Conceicao does have that amateur pedigree.
Yeah, he has a gold medalist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for people to say that Oshaki Foster is a more skillful fighter than Robson Conceicao, I don't see it too far-fetched, especially what I've been seeing recently from both fighters.
Yeah, I mean, Foster, I definitely do think he has the better skills, but I think it was just a hard stylistic matchup for him, you know, because I do think he has better skills than Conceicao, and I do think he's one of the elite guys. But these fights are super close. Maybe not the first fight, but this second fight, this rematch was really close. Conceicao had great moments in the fight, and Foster, he did struggle. I mean, it's apparent in the scorecards. It was a split decision. So Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where Foster really goes from here now, because now people are saying, there was a robbery in the first fight, robbery in the second fight. We got to get a trilogy. So maybe a trilogy is in order, or maybe Foster wants to be done with Conceicao, and just wants to move on.
Yeah. Would you guys want to see a third fight between the two of them?
I wouldn't mind it personally, but I know if I was in Foster's corner or in his team, I would say no. Like we gotta keep moving because they're eyeing. He said it himself. He's eyeing the winner of Valdez and Navarrete, the rematch. So if I was in his team in his corner trying to manage his career, I would say yeah. Like we can we can hold off on the trilogy for right now. Let's aim for unification. Let's aim for a big fight against a big fighter like Navarrete or Valdez, whoever wins, which is why he called him out, saying, I want to fight the winner of that. I will be there. So they're obviously eyeing for a bigger name. And a bigger name, not only that, but also just the unification in general.
Yeah, that's probably the smartest business move. But I'd prefer to see a trilogy, honestly.
Oh, yeah?
As a fan, yeah, I'd prefer to see a trilogy. I like Conceicao.
Yeah, me too. As a boxing fan, I wouldn't mind watching that. But if I'm going to be honest, I don't think Foster would like that. Because here's the thing. Robinson has been at the end of a lot of controversial decisions. My bad. Decisions. And it's just based off his style. Like for Foster to go up against Conceicao is another hard, grueling training camp, and then it's going to be another hard, awkward fight because of his style.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough fight because I mean these two fights have been, especially like you said, this last one, this rematch this past weekend was a very close fight. Imagine how a third fight would be even closer than that, or it could be even closer. We never know, but. Yeah, I think the best business move would be to move on from Conceicao. Maybe, leave it on the shelf for right now and aim for the unification against one of the Mexican fighters who comes on top in December.
Spoiler alert, it's going to be Navarrete.
I think Navarrete takes it. I think he beats Valdez again. I think he beats him worse.
I think, and I think Navarrete will beat Foster as well.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Especially it also depends on what kind of Navarrete we get. That Navarrete recently has been, that against Conceicao wasn't the best. And then against Dennis Bernschenk was absolutely abysmal.
It's because he needs a nutritionist, man. He's on that Mexican diet. Like, it's not good for him.
It's bad. But so that was a little bit about the Conceicao and O'Shaquie Foster rematch. Very close fight. A lot of people online were very outspoken about the scorecards. But we'll see what O'Shaquie Foster does. Like he said, he's aiming to be there at the arena for the rematch of Oscar Valdez as he takes on Emmanuel Navarrete. So 130 is moving. There's some movement going on. There's some heat. So we'll see how it develops as 2025 comes near to us. Switching on to another big fight that happened this past weekend was the return of Floyd Schofield. Floyd Schofield has been the talk at 135 for some time now, in the aspect that he's a guy who's been calling out the big names. He said he wants a big fight. He deems himself worthy of a big fight. And this past weekend, he took on Mexican fighter Rene Giron, 5'5", 25-year-old, 135-pounder, who's already fought twice this year.
Wait, why'd you have to add the height in?
I'm just breaking down his stats, man. The thing is about Rene is that he's had 3 losses in his career, and 2 of them we know him. He fought Michael Rivera's for one of them. He lost, and he also lost against Giovanni Cabrera. So he's lost against 2 pretty, notable fighters, especially at that weight class during that time. So he has some experience fighting top prospects in the sport. And Floyd Schofield is he's no different from them. He's also a top prospect at the 135, especially. He's ranked number 2 in the WBA, for Gervonta Davis. So this showing, even though he got the win, a lot of people ridiculed man. They ridiculed him.
Yeah, and it's because of the knockdown that he sustained, First time. What round was it? I think it was like 11th round. 11th round knockdown. He wasn't terribly hurt, but he got dropped. And a fighter that was very vocal about it online was Shakur Stevenson. Because Floyd Schofield, like you said, I mean, he's got a big mouth, right? And when you got a big mouth, you got to back it up. And if you don't, people are going to ridicule you. So that's kind of what happened. Schofield got dropped. Shakur Stevenson, the Twitterson fingers started getting active. And he started saying, Schofield isn't on my level. And, like, he got dropped by this random guy.
He also mentioned something about the fact that the Shakur Stevenson curse is real.
Oh, yeah. When you call out Shakur Stevenson and then you, like, lose or you do a bad performance or something like that. So, yeah, it was kind of funny. But, I mean, Rene, like you said, Rene is actually a solid guy. I mean, he's a tough journeyman, maybe even above a journeyman. Like, he's been with some of the best guys there, and he's no slouch. He's no, just walkover. So, I mean, Schofield did his thing, and in the post-fight interview, he was still talking. Still talking that talk, saying he still is ready for the top guys. He even said that Shakur doesn't punch like Rene, so he thinks it'd be an easy fight. He still has that mouth on him. So I don't even know I don't know what his team thinks about him getting dropped.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting what goes on from here next. But not only has he been very vocal, as also his father. His father, especially this fight week, they were very vocal. They were talking about like just the prior sparring experience that they had with Shakur, Devin Haney. They said that they got the better of Shakur and that they hurt Devin Haney. Yeah, I don't remember who was doing the interview, but they were doing like a little Zoom interview type thing.
I don't know what it is about these father-son duos, is that the father is always so outspoken and always so...
It almost seems as though they're gonna go and fight.
Yeah, it's like they're the fighter trying to sell the fight, even though he's the coach. Like, buddy, let your son do the talking.
They're the promoter and the coach and the father. They play a 3-person role,
and the manager.
Yeah, and the manager. Everything.
Yeah, they play a 4-person role in that aspect. But yes, a lot of people were very vocal. Even Shakur, even Gervonta Davis himself got in it. And I mean, the thing is, Schofield did have moments of trouble. Not only the knockdown, which it was a bit. I wouldn't say he was hurt. Mainly off balance, but he was hurt in the 3rd round, I believe. He got hurt, and then I've never seen this before, where a fighter, after the round ends, they go to their corner and they miss the stool.
Oh my!
He missed the stool.
He tried to sit down and he fell.
He fell. He didn't fall forward. He fell like backwards because he tried sitting down. He fell back. His dad helped him up, and he's like, "Hey, sit down right here." But I've never seen that before. And people were saying like, "Yo, this man was hurt. He was buzzed during that round." And I saw a lot of people also saying like, "Oh, you don't stand toe to toe with a Mexican."
They just had to throw that one in there.
Had to throw it in.
Come on.
But yes, that's also another reason why people are throwing a lot of hate towards Floyd Schofield, because not only did he get dropped, but he also dropped himself trying to sit down in between rounds. So it was not the best look for him, especially with all the talking that he's done. And he like you said, he's still aiming to get a fight against Shakur, against Gervonta, against any of the top guys at 135. Personally, for me, I think he should maybe cool it off a little bit and just try to get, a couple more fights in. Because if anything, I think Abdullah Mason beats him.
Dang.
Abdullah Mason is the best 135-pound prospect in boxing today. And I think Abdullah Mason would destroy Floyd Schofield.
Wow.
I have a lot of praise for Abdullah. So if anything, he's got to reach that level of Abdullah Mason before he can, maybe start chirping at the big dogs at 135. And I would rather see him fight a couple more fights before aiming towards one of those guys.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. He's a contender now. He's not even a prospect now. Like he's the number two in the WBA. You're there.
That's Tank's belt.
Yeah, you're within arm's reach of a world championship fight. So I don't know. I think probably it would be smart to kind of take a step back, get some fights in, maybe work on your skills, because especially if you're going for the WBA. You're asking for like death, man. Gervonta Davis, like, come on. If you think Rene hits hard, which he's a solid puncher.
Does, yeah,
he's a solid puncher. But I definitely believe Gervonta Davis hits a lot harder, and he's also a lot smarter. He knows how to land the perfect punch on you. So I don't think it's going to be a good showing if Floyd Schofield goes up against Gervonta Davis or even Shakur Stevenson. Shakur would outbox his head off, make it a quick 12-0. I don't think he has that Schofield doesn't have the skills yet to compete at that level at 135. So he should definitely cool it down a little bit.
I think he should cool it down a little bit. I think also his father, I think maybe you can point the blame a little bit to him, because I don't think Schofield is the type of dude to be calling out guys like that. I think he's being influenced by his father. That's just my personal opinion. But in the post-fight interview, I don't remember who it was that was doing the interview, but they were just talking to the both his father and Floyd down below, not in the ring. And his father was like, "Yeah, we just fought the wrong game plan. We didn't fight the game plan that we intended to." So I really think that Floyd was just going in to maybe try to prove a point, just because he was talking pretty loudly on social media this past weekend. And I think he was trying to prove a point.
Yeah, that could be true. Maybe he was a little too anxious to just want to go in there and get a knockout or something, and then he realized, oh shit, Renee is actually has some substance to him. That could be true.
Yeah, I think so. And so based off of that, so maybe mentality wise, he kind of folds underneath the lights, so that's not very good. That doesn't help his case in trying to go up against one of the elite guys at that weight class.
Yeah, imagine, he's number 2. Imagine the WBA says, okay, let's have the number 1, number 2 fight at the WBA for interim.
Who's number 1?
William Zepeda.
Oh, Zepeda eats him up.
Zepeda. No, I'm telling you, he mauls him.
Wait, isn't Zepeda number 1 in every one of them?
He's number 1. Yeah, Zepeda's the number 1 ranked in
Yeah.
every single organization. So
No, El Camarón eats him up bad.
yeah, he does. I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't even have to put him up against Gervonta or Shakur for that. You got Zepeda to do that. Even Raymond Murataya.
Murataya beats him
Murataya,
as
yeah.
well.
Murataya is coming off also a victory this past weekend too.
Yeah.
Second round knockout?
Second round knockout.
Stoppage. And I mean, Keyshawn
Against Lemos
Yeah.
next week.
we got that too. I'm telling 135 is heating up right now again, and for Floyd Schofield to try to aim for the top dogs, it's very optimistic, but it's not realistic, and I think he should settle down a bit.
Well, I mean, we know that saying, if you aim for the stars, you could at least land onto the moon.
Well, it's kind of crazy. I don't know how he's already at a number 2. That's insane.
Yeah, they're ranking him high.
They're
for
ranking him
WBA.
high.
They see him. They view him very too high esteem. So hence why he's ranked really high in that. I'm looking at the rankings, and he's not even ranked within the top 15 in the WBC, nor in the WBO.
That sounds more like
He's in the top 4. He's in 14s for the WB or for the IBF.
IBF.
Yeah.
that sounds more like his speed. I don't know how he's a top 5 contender in the WBA, but on all the other ones, not even top 15. I don't know.
Yeah, you got Edwin de los Santos, Andy Cruz,
Edwin de los Santos beats
Lemos.
I think so too.
him. Lemos is
Yeah.
a solid fighter against.
Lucas Body, who's
Yeah.
just coming up
Yeah.
beating H2O.
Mhm.
Come on, man.
Who? Oh, yeah,
Lucas
yeah,
Body,
yeah.
just knockout of the year.
Knockout of the year, yeah. I remember
I'm
that.
telling you, man. George Cambosa. Maybe put him up against George.
That'd be a
Yeah,
good test.
yeah,
Huh?
Hey,
yeah.
George will do it, man.
Yeah,
George
he
would
would.
do it.
George
Yeah.
will do it. But
But in Australia, though.
yeah, you gotta go.
It's
You gotta
gotta
go to
be in the
Melbourne.
Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, you gotta go there, man. You gotta go there. But yeah. So Floyd Schofield, a lot of criticism, a lot of hate towards him this past weekend, and let's see what he decides to do for 2025. He should aim he should aim big. He should try to get some fights in, and then hopefully get a big step up sometime later next year. But now switching topics to, I think, the final points of today's episode is our official predictions for this upcoming week's doubleheader between Boots Ennis, as he's taking on in the rematch against Karen. I don't know how to say it last name, bro. I call him Chuck. Karen Chuck.
Chuck.
I call him Karen Chuck.
What's his last letter? Try to say it out. Come on.
Chuck de Sion. Chuck Diosian.
All right, let's call him Chuck.
Chuck, yeah.
Never
Karen
mind.
Chuck. I Americanized his name.
For real, yeah.
Okay. Boots Ennis takes on Karen Chuck as Jesse Rodriguez takes on Guevara. Look, this is a big fight in the aspect that, first off, Eddie Hearn is trying to really showcase Boots, by making him the headliner, as well as bringing in the Mexican audience by adding Bam Rodriguez. So this should be a good showing for both fighters. A lot of people were not happy with Boots' his opponent selection. they're like, this is a rematch we don't want to see. And also, they weren't happy with it either. They're saying, like, the IBF is a whole mess, yada, yada, criticizing the mandatory selection for it. But, you know, you have Jesse Rodriguez returning after a sensational KO against El Gallo Estrada over the summer, as he takes on Pedro Guevara, who is coming off a win over one of the Maloney brothers. And he's fought against some good fighters, man. He fought against Carlos Cuadras. He's fought against Kenshiro Tiraji. You know, he's fought some great fighters in his career. So this is a tough guy, 35 years old. Maybe he's a little on the older side. Let's see how Jesse Rodriguez does.
Yeah, this is a good card. Eddie Hearn definitely knows what he's doing. I mean, I've been seeing so much promotion with Boots and Bam training in the gym together. And, you know, those clips are going viral. You know, it's a good thing. You know, both of these guys are becoming superstars. You know, they're labeled the future of boxing, you know, the next generation. They're both young. I don't know how young Boots is, but yeah, so this is actually, I'm really excited for this fight. This is a really great card. Two great fighters. And I think I do understand some of the criticism, especially on Boots, because I mean, yeah, I don't know what they're doing with the rematch against this guy. I mean, the thing is, though, Boots has always been calling out like the top guys. He's always wanting the elites. He's been calling out Crawford until Crawford left to 154. And now, I mean, sometimes it does happen where people don't want to fight you. And I think Boots kind of is suffering from that. So, you know, he's just sending contracts to anybody that's willing to sign the contract.
Yeah, but it's also the politics side and whatnot, the business side and whatnot. Like like you mentioned, the IBF had other plans for Boots and his team. So like he has to do whatever they have to do if he wants to maintain being a world champion. So I understand that. So for me, like that was my first like gut instinct. I was like, why are you fighting Karen again? Like there's no reason for this. And then, you know, it comes out like this, the IBF mandating this. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm still excited to see him back underneath the lights. So hopefully, you know, he can have bigger and better things in 2025. But the fight that I mostly focus on this weekend is the Bam fight. So,
Yeah, well, talking more about Boots real quick. Mario Barrios is set to fight on the Jake Paul undercard. Jake Paul and Tyson against number 8 ranked in the WBC, Abel Ramos. And Mario Barrios himself in a recent interview said, hey, I'm willing to unify after this fight. So he's willing to unify against whichever other champion. And, I mean, let's say that they both come out on top. Maybe we can finally see another unification at 147 and finally have someone willing to step up against Boots and, you know, accept that challenge. Because I know Boots for sure 100% will accept any smoke from any champion at 147. Even at 154, he could probably go up there and fight there. But as of right now, Mario Barrios is willing to fight for unification afterwards. So let's see how the 147 starts to develop, because recently it's been kind of ass. I can't lie.
Yeah.
But in regards to Bam Rodriguez, yeah, we're all very excited to see him, mainly because he's coming off the biggest win of his career. And not only the biggest win, I would say probably the best performance of his career. Yes, he got dropped, but man, the performance he put up was he was so sharp that night against El Gallo. He looked so fired up and very motivated to prove a point, and he proved it, man. He stopped El Gallo Estrada with it was a crazy body shot, crumpled him and stopped him there. So there's a lot of hype for Jesse Bam Rodriguez, especially with the Mexican crowd. They love him so much, and hence why Eddie Hearn decided to put Jesse Rodriguez with Boots Ennis in the same card in order to, you know, promote also Boots Ennis and get his name across, and, you know, also sell out the arena, make it a big spectacle, yada yada. So it should be a good night of boxing.
Yeah, no, definitely. With that Bam Rodriguez and El Gallo Estrada, dude, that was a legacy fight. You know, that's a legacy fight for Bam Rodriguez. You know, El Gallo Estrada is a legend. You know, he's been in boxing forever now, and he's had great fights with Chocolatito, and Chocolatito also was once considered the top 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. I mean, this is a legacy fight for him to do that and stop him. It was very impressive, and I think that fight really opened up a lot of people's eyes. You know, Bam Rodriguez was already becoming a very big name, But after he beat El Gallo Estrada, who is well known and well respected in the boxing community, that's when people were like, oh shit, this guy really is the real deal. So I'm expecting like big things from Bam Rodriguez. I'm expecting him to dominate for a while now. And this is one thing, those lower weight divisions aren't as competitive as the 140s or the 154 divisions, right? They don't have the depth of fighters that the better divisions do. And that's one of the criticisms that a lot of the boxing community always places on these lower these small guys. They always criticize them, oh, you're fighting nobodies. And for Bam Rodriguez, a big dream matchup for him has always been Naoya Inoue. People are always constantly putting, I'd love to see them fight together. This Bam versus Naoya Inoue would be the best fight. But they still have weight discrepancy in between them. So it's a bit difficult to even make that fight. But, I mean, if Bam Rodriguez is able to continue to dominate and he's still able to grow into his body and go up the divisions, we could possibly see a fight against the monster Naoya Inoue.
I don't think so.
No.
I personally don't think so. No. Mainly because it comes to the discretion that you would assume that Inoue would stay at 122. Mm-hmm. And Inoue is already 30 years old, 31 years old. I'm sure he's going to be aiming to move up in weight maybe sometime late next year, maybe 2026, move up to 126. Or I already said that, right? Move up to 126. So, yeah, that's like not adding that factor in that Inoue would stay at 122 for the rest of his career, which I do not think he will. I think he would look to aim at 126 sometime. But yeah, I feel it'd be more realistic for Bam to fight against Junto Nakatani because Nakatani is at 118. But
and
then
he's dominating that 118.
And Nakatani is destroying everyone, man. Absolutely a monster in the division. But then that's also, we're not adding the factor that Nakatani, there's more of a money fight for him to fight Inoue at 122 than fighting Bam Rodriguez at 118. Especially if the fight is in Japan. That's the biggest fight in Japan as of right now. Nakatani taking on Inoue. That'd be a monster fight. I would if I was in Nakatani's team, I would say, let's maybe fight one or two more times at 118. Maybe one more time and then go up to 122. Feel the water, see how it is, and then aim to fight against Naoya Inoue in Japan. Imagine the hype for that in Japan. Oh my God, that was sold out arena, crazy numbers. I'm telling you, there's a lot more money for him and a lot more recognition and respect from him if he fights and beats Inoue, who Inoue is considered top 1 and 2, 1 and 3, whatever, in pound for pound, than beating Bam Rodriguez or fighting Bam Rodriguez at 118, which would still be a fantastic win for him. But I think it makes more sense for him to fight Inoue.
Yeah, it's more realistic that we see possibly Junto Nakatani fighting Inoue than maybe Bam and Inoue fighting together. But what's funny is that Bam is such an interesting fighter because yes, you stated the fact that a lot of people kind of were woken up to the idea of El Gallo being stopped for the very first time in his whole entire career. He's been up against guys who, like you said, Chocolatito, Carlos Cuadras. Those were tough fights, and he never got dropped. It almost seemed as though he never got buckled. And here you have a guy who is moving up from a smaller weight class and going up to El Gallo's weight class, and then stopping him with a devastating body shot. He didn't even get up after that. So, but I truly do think that. I don't want to compare Bam to any fighter because Bam is his own fighter. But I would say he's definitely a guy who can definitely capture multiple world championship titles in different weight classes.
I think he definitely has the skill for it, but he's just so small. He's pretty small. Like if you want to, even Junto Nakatani is a lot longer than him, a lot taller than him. Naoya Inoue as well, a lot taller than him. Like. I definitely, that's the only problem with Bam. We don't know how much weight he can move up and how much weight he can gain because he's on the shorter side, but he is a bit wide. It definitely seems he could fill out his frame a bit more, but I don't know if he's going to go all the way up to 122. It's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight, and he's going to be fighting a lot of bigger guys. His skills would definitely transfer. I don't know about the knockout power. I don't know how his chin is going to react to all those. There's so much variables when you go up weight classes. So there's just so much mystery and so much unknown that we have for Bam Rodriguez. Maybe because I do think he does have planned moving up to 118 soon, especially because there really is no challenge for him at 115. That's another problem, is that if he wants to continue, making legacy fights, I mean, 115 is becoming a dead end. He has to move up and, challenge himself more to keep the boxing fans happy.
Well, now Bam Rodriguez, before he even thinks about moving up or fighting a hypothetical against Inoue or Nakatani, he has Pedro Guevara to settle this weekend coming up. And I think Bam Rodriguez is going to do fantastic work again. I think he's going to prove that he is definitely top 10 pound for pound fighter in the world. And I do think Pedro Guevara is going to give him some resistance. Guevara is, Mexican bred, very solid, durable fighter. And I do think he is going to give Bam some trouble in the aspect of durability. But I see Bam Rodriguez winning the fight by stoppage late in the fight. And my prediction for Boots and Karen Chuck, their first fight ended in a UD win, very one-sided for Boots Ennis. And I don't see that happening this time. I see Boots Ennis stopping him this time. I think he wants to make a point saying, okay, this is one of the only guys who's ever went all 12 rounds with me. He's not going to get that chance again. I'm going to come in sharper. I know what to do against him now. I'm going to break him down, and I'm going to stop him. I think Boots Ennis is going to stop Karen Chuck late in the fight, but he's going to get that stoppage win. My predictions.
Okay, I'm going to predict both Bam and Boots are going to get stoppages.
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, the same thing. I mean, Bam is going to win. I have high hopes for Bam and high hopes for Boots as well. With Boots, I definitely think he's going to come into the fight to steamroll him. Remember his last fight against Avanesian, right?
Yeah.
He came into the fight and there was a couple instances where he got hit with a couple of punches that he shouldn't have gotten hit with. But the reason why was because he went into the fight to try to knock this guy's head off. So I think he's going to try to do that again this Saturday. I think he's going to go in there with the sole mentality of stopping this guy. And if he's gonna he doesn't care about defense, he's just gonna go in there and try to stop him. So I think it's gonna be they're gonna be good fights. I think both of them are gonna get KOs, and it's gonna be very, very exciting.
Nice. So those are our official predictions for this weekend's doubleheader clash for Boots Ennis as he takes on Karen Chuck, the Americanized edition, and Pedro Guevara as he looks to upset the up-and-coming superstar in boxing, Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Is there anything else you guys want to mention, talk about the fight, about anything else? No? Okay. Well, let us know down below. Who do you guys have winning? Do you guys think Boots Ennis will get the KO this time? Do you think Bam Rodriguez will extend his hot streak in boxing? Also, let us know about Floyd Schofield. Do you think he has enough in his skill set to take on the big names at 135? Or do you think he's biting on more than he can chew? Also, let us know about Foster-Conceicao. Did he get robbed, or did Oshaki Foster deserve the victory? Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on all forms of social media. We are on X, TikTok, and on Instagram. Also, last thing, the best way to get in contact with us and to communicate and talk boxing is by joining our Discord. We are trying to build up a community, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. Everything that I mentioned is in the link in the description below. Lastly, this was Pablo, and I'm with Rudo and Asa, and this was the Last Round Podcast. Thank you for watching.